Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Ravens Call. I'm your host, Tyler Cameron. If you haven't already or don't know what this podcast will consist of, you can go to my 1 minute intro video or you can just follow along on the week by weeks. This podcast is available on Spotify, YouTube, as well as Apple Podcasts. You can find all the links to those in each of the streaming services or look up the Ravens Call podcast on Instagram. We're going to be heading into week 18, the last week of the regular season, where playoffs are starting to be set. There's only a couple more spots left for some teams. So we'll go into those as well as, seeing who is going to get the number one pick this year. It was a pretty crazy day, but very excited to go over week 18 as well as go into what we're looking forward to in the playoffs. So hope everyone is having a great Wednesday and ready to listen to some exciting NFL and Baltimore Ravens news. All right. So we had two games on Saturday, both AFC North conferences. We'll talk about the Ravens a little bit later, but as you see, very good for them. So the Bengals and the Steelers game, we'll get into that one. So the Bengals needed to win to stay in to hopefully make the 7th seed. Steelers didn't really have to. It was more for them was to lock up the 5 seed. If they lost and the Chargers won, they'd be the 6th seed. But at this point, they already knew that they were playing for a wild card spot of that nature. So let's get into it. Cincinnati Bengals won 19-17. Steelers made a late comeback run in the fourth, but just wasn't enough to do that. So Joe Burrow, 37-46, 277 yards, a touchdown and an interception, and 4 sacks. Not his best game. Herbert, 69 yards rushing, wasn't able to run the ball effectively. Jamar Chase had a good game, 10 receptions, 96 yards, a touchdown. Mike Gesicki, 8 receptions, 68 yards. Pretty decent game from the Bengals, but not their best showing, especially when they only scored 19 points. That's very shocking. But the Steelers just didn't have enough on offense to do anything. Russell Wilson, 17-31, 148 yards and a touchdown. Not a good showing from him. Najee Harris, only 36 yards rushing. Pat Freiermuth, 8 receptions, 85 yards and a touchdown. Good game from him. George Pickens came back, 1 reception, 0 yards, and 6 targets. So not a very good game from him. Steelers have lost 4 straight. Heading into the playoffs, they are the 6th seed, and they will be playing the Ravens. So a little redemption game from them. They need to find their swagger back if they want to make a deep playoff run. They're facing a hot Ravens team that's 4-0. So, that's the crazy part is the Steelers were up 2 games in the AFC North heading into the Ravens bye. Steelers have gone 0-4, and the Ravens have gone 4-0. So it's going to be very good playoff game. On to the Sunday games. So the Bengals won, right? So the Bengals won. So they are in position to make the playoffs if the Dolphins lose and the Broncos lose. If the Broncos win, the Dolphins can't get in, the Bengals can't get in. And as you can see from this game, the Chiefs versus Broncos, yeah. So the Broncos are the last playoff team. Kansas City rested a lot of their starters on offense. They only rested about 3 starters on defense. The reason I bring that up is because Denver was able to score 38 points on them. They only rested three starters on defense. So I don't want to hear, well, it was, no, the offense was playing the best defense. Their best version of their defense without a couple players. So let's get into it. Carson Wentz, 10-17, 98 yards, 4 sacks. Carson Steele, 25 yards rushing. Chiefs, it was a blowout. They're facing a top 5 defense. There's no way. Bo Nix, 26 of 29, 321 yards and 4 touchdowns. This is a great showing from him going into the playoffs because I know that, you're going to say, well, they're facing second stringers. Well, they only rested 3 starters. So they were facing a still really good defense. And Bo Nix threw more touchdowns than incompletions. Really good game. Rushed for 47 yards as well. Really good momentum going into the playoffs for them. Now, they were able to run the ball pretty effectively with McLaughlin, Estime, and Williams, able to go in there a little bit, which was good. Sutton had a good game, 5 receptions, 98 yards, touchdown. Mims, 5 receptions, 51 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bailey, 4 receptions, 50 yards, and touchdown. It was a really good game for Denver on the offense and defensive end. Very excited to see what they do in the playoffs. They'll be facing the Bills in the playoffs at the Bills, so it's going to be a fun playoff. There's a lot of close games. There's no real blowout games, which is pretty interesting on that. Let's get into more of the games. So another huge game was the Panthers and Falcons. So the reason I say this is because the Falcons need to win and for the Bucs to lose for them to make the playoffs. And they were not able to do it. Carolina won 44-38 in overtime. They got the ball at the start of the overtime and just never let it go. So they were able to win there. Bryce Young, 25-34, 251 yards and 3 touchdowns. An amazing game from him. Miles Sanders, 66 yards and a touchdown because they did not have Hubbard. Coker was the big star, 7 receptions, 62 yards. Thielen, 5 receptions, 44 yards. So really good game from Carolina. They were able to run the ball effectively as well as pass. Penix Jr. does look like a very good rookie to where he's starting the season off pretty nice, so the Falcons could be a team to watch next year. 21-38, 312 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Bijan Robinson, 28 carries, 170 yards, and 2 touchdowns, so huge game from him. Drake London, 10 receptions, 187 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And a big thing that I hope goes into this offseason for Atlanta is you need to find a tight end or you're going to be miserable because Drake London cannot do everything. Because Kyle Pitts, 2 receptions, 15 yards. Kyle Pitts, see his stats. Yeah, he had a 1,000-yard season in 2021, and he's had 600 yards for the rest of his career, besides the 1 year he was injured. This year, he had 4 touchdowns. This guy is probably one of the biggest draft busts right now, just because he just doesn't do anything. He's so athletic, he's so talently gifted, but he's not on the right system or something because they're terrible. But the Panthers were able to pull off the win, so the Falcons are out of the playoffs. No matter if the Bucs won or not, the Bucs were in the playoffs. The Commanders beat the Cowboys. They're resting there. Bears beat the Packers, so the Packers were already locked into the 7 seed. Texans didn't play their starters. They beat the Titans, so the Titans are now the number 1 pick in the draft. So very exciting to see what they'll do there. Colts won in overtime against Jaguars. I mean, the game didn't truly matter. I will go over the Bills and the Patriots. The reason I'm going to do this is twofold. So Bills rested their starters. So a lot that goes into the MVP race is the record. Buffalo was 2 games up on the Ravens, and now they're only 1. So the record now becomes abolished because when it comes to the MVP race, Josh Allen's main thing was that he had the better team in the essence of record. Well, you only have 1 game up, so on that. But reason I bring this game up as well is the Patriots won. The Patriots had the number 1 pick if they just lost this game. Since they won, they are now the number 4 pick. And maybe an hour or 2 after this game, Robert Kraft, who is the GM or the owner of the Patriots, fired Jared Mayo, their head coach, because I'm pretty sure that he did want them to lose that game. So that was very interesting to see there. Eagles and Giants. Eagles won. They rested their starters. Now let's go on to the Saints and Bucks. So this game is actually really scary for me because I wanted the Bucks. I like the Bucks. I like Baker Mayfield. I like Mike Evans. And so Saints started off hot. Spencer Rattler, 26-42, 240 yards and touchdown. Really good game from him on that front. They just kind of were hit and miss. And then Baker Mayfield threw us a terrible interception that cost him a little bit. But Baker, 21-32, 21 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Bucky Irving had another great game rushing, 19 carries, 89 yards, a touchdown. And then going into this game, Mike Evans needed 85 yards to get the 1,000-yard mark. Mike Evans, for his entire career, has had 1,000-yard seasons. He's been in the league for 10 years. So this year was going to be his 11th. And so only Jerry Rice has ever done that. And it was towards the end of the game. They had just scored a touchdown. And instead of kneeing on the ball when they had the game done, they decided to throw a little pass so that Mike Evans could get to that 89, to get past the yard mark to get that 1,000-yard season. Which to me is very awesome because Mike Evans deserves it. If he didn't play all the season, he was gone for like 6 or 7 games. So for him to get a 1,000-yard season is crazy good. But yeah, that's why I was kind of okay with that simple fact of getting him those yards because he was injured. If he had played all the games that he could have played and he was doing that, then it would have been a little disrespectful because it's like you had so many more games to get 1,000 yards. So, but kudos to him. Good job for him. Bucks are onto the playoffs. They're actually the 3 seed because the Rams lost to the Seahawks. So it's going to be, there's so many fun playoff games. I'm very excited. There could be a lot of upsets, hoping not for my game. But Chargers win. They're the 5 seed. Seahawks won, so now the Rams are the 6 seed. No, sorry. They are the 4 seed. The Rams are the 4 seed. The Rams didn't play their starters. They didn't care their positioning. Jets beat the Dolphins. So if Denver would have lost, the Bengals would have been in the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers had a good game, threw 4 touchdowns. Hopefully hit the last game of his career. He just threw his 500 touchdown pass, but it should be his last game of the career because he's not. This isn't it anymore. No. Cardinals beat the 49ers. That was pretty bloodbath. And then the game of the night, this was for the division title. This was for the number 1 seed. And Detroit showed that they are the best team in football. Even though Jared Goff threw 2 interceptions, they were able to run the ball with Jahmyr Gibbs. Sam Darnold, 18 of 41, 166 yards. Weren't able to run the ball. Weren't able to pass. Just were locked up. By a depleted defense, mind you, too. Jared Goff still threw 2 interceptions. Jahmyr Gibbs, 23 carries, 139 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a good game. Sam Laporta. So really good game from them. They're the 1 seed. They are getting the bye. So the playoff is pretty much set up. And that is it for the week 18. I went through these pretty fast because a lot of these games, it's just mainly backups at this point, and a lot of the games didn't matter as much. I'm going to go a little more in depth with the Ravens, and then we're going to go very much in depth with the playoff bracket to kind of give you an understanding of where every team's at, with their matchups, who I think is going to win, and who has the best shot. I'm going to be a little biased. I think the Ravens have a shot for the Super Bowl, but I'm biased. Like, that's my team. So without further ado, we're going to jump into the team that you're here for, the Baltimore Ravens. All right. So, Baltimore Ravens, it was a good game. One of the big concerns is that Zay Flowers hurt his knee, and he's uncertain if he's going to make the first round of the playoffs, which is kind of scary because staying healthy in the playoffs is huge for us, as well as we got a tough matchup in the Steelers coming up. So it's going to be a tough game, but we'll see what we can do. But let's go over the Browns. They started Bailey Zappi, 16 to 31, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Weren't able to run the ball. Judy, 6 receptions, 63 yards. Jordan Atkins, their backup tight end, 6 receptions, 60 yards, a touchdown. Other than that, nothing else. Lamar Jackson, 16 to 32, 217 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not his best game, but he is now fourth all time in QBR rating, or passer rating, sorry. So, that says to his story of he ran, let's just look at his stats really quick. That's for the season. So he threw for 4,000 yards. He had a QBR rating of 119 for 41 touchdowns. Rushed for 915 yards. To me, that's just amazing. I'm glad he's my quarterback. That's all I can say to that. Derrick Henry, 20 carries, 138 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Monster run from him. Lamar Jackson, 9 carries, 63 yards. Just really good running. Bateman had a good game after Flowers got hurt. Mark Andrews was able to catch a touchdown. It's going to be a by committee thing. I think the play of the year, or not the play of the year, but the funnest play to have seen was Michael Pierce. So he's a big boy. He's a nose tackle. He was able to catch a touchdown. I mean, not able to catch it. He was able to catch a pick at the end of the fourth quarter, and then he took a knee. A lot of people wanted him to go score, but he just, it would have been an 80-yard score. So he's like, no, I'm good. Another great thing for the Ravens was Nate Wiggins was able to get his first interception of the year, and he was able to run it back for a touchdown at the start of the game, which is very nice. Big stat for us is that Nate Wiggins has not given up a touchdown all season, and he has 1 interception. So that's really good from a rookie to have that. So very excited for him. Very excited for the team. Our defense is starting to look a lot better. Offense starting to click. But wipe all that aside, it's 0-0 now. It is 0-0. Because now we get into the playoffs where your record does not matter. Your record does not mean anything. You have to win every single game. The Ravens, the Bills, every team. You are able, if you have one bad game, you're out. So let's get into it. First game on the docket is the Chargers. And the Texans. They're the first game on a Saturday. I do think the Chargers will win this game, mainly just because the Texans just suck. I don't know how the Texans are the team. Like, if anyone is the least deserving of a playoff spot, it's the Texans. They have one of the easiest divisions. They have played terribly. They didn't even score a point against the Ravens. They look like an absolute joke. They have lost. They lost Diggs. They lost Tank Dell, which I understand, right? But even when they had Tank Dell, they don't look good. So I would see the Texans winning as an upset. I think that the Chargers are a very good, sound offense and defense. I would think that they would win this game. So, yeah, I'm picking the Chargers. Then we go into the Saturday night game, which is the AFC North Championship all over again. This is Steelers versus the Ravens. If Ravens are favored by 10, I don't say 10. I'm hoping 10. Don't get me wrong, but we always play the Steelers pretty tough. We have been able to score a lot of points, but Mike Tomlin is he's been in these positions before, so is John Harbaugh. So, Lamar Jackson's going to have to keep playing like he is. Derrick Henry going to have to become a monster again, and hopefully Zay Flowers is able to play. If he's not, hopefully we can get that win for him so that he can rest and get us to the divisional round to where we can, make a good run, because we need to be back in that AFC Championship game. We just have to. I think our team has done really well, but I think that this is one of our best shots too. We got Derrick Henry for this run. We wanted him last year. We weren't able to get it. That's fine, but we need him this run. I don't want to see Derrick Henry with less than 10 carries. I don't really want to see him without less than 20, but it just depends on how effectively the pass is going. But do not abandon the run. Derrick Henry is part of the scheme that makes us so good, because we can pass really well. Lamar Jackson threw 41 touchdowns and 4,000 yards. We also have Derrick Henry, who almost had 2,000-yard season. So you need to be deadly on both ends. That's just how it is. But should be a good game. Hoping the Ravens can pull that one out. If they don't, it's going to be hard to talk about next week. On to Sunday games. We have the Broncos and Bills. Now, Bills are favored by 8.5. I do think that the Bills, it's going to be a lot closer than 8.5. I know my wife is a Bronco fan. I know that a lot of people who are listening are Bronco fans. I know there's not a lot of hope. Broncos they were projected to have 5 wins. They were power ranked 31st in the league, which is second to last. And they're in the playoffs with a $77 million dead cap and being able to be put in a position to maybe make a playoff run. It just depends because the Bills' defense is hit or miss sometimes. They're not as good as they were last year, but we'll see. Bo Nix's first time playing in the playoffs, so it'll be interesting. The Bills have a really good fan base, really good team, so we'll see. But Broncos could they're the more sneakier upset in my opinion. Like they're the most long shot of an upset, I would say. On to the 1:30 game, we got the Packers and Eagles. This was a very close game when they first played at the start of the season. I do think that this is going to be a slugfest between the Eagles and the Packers. And also, it remains to be seen. If Jalen Hurts doesn't play, I don't think the Eagles can win. And that would be very tough. Let's go to Gamecast on here and let's see what they got here. Watson is out. Let's see Jalen Hurts' status. Let's see if he has no new information as of Monday. Like they need to get it going because if he doesn't play, the Eagles are going to be out of here, and that could be tough because there are some tough games going forward for the Eagles if they want to go. You probably have Vikings. Probably will have pretty much every team in the NFC North maybe to go against. But on to the Sunday night game, which is the Commanders and the Bucks. Bucks are favored, which this is going to be a very crucial game. It is very awesome to see 2 great rookie quarterbacks in the playoffs. I do like that. I think that it's going to be a close one, but I'm very excited to see what they can do, both teams, and we'll go from there. Monday night game. So Monday night we have the Vikings and the Rams, right? And this is going to be a slugfest. I mean, because both teams, Vikings have a really good defense, Rams don't. Vikings offense, I would normally say, is really good, but they played a Lions team that their defense is depleted. They weren't even able to put up a touchdown. But I don't know. We'll see. But this should be a shootout game. Very exciting to see. So very excited for the playoffs, but let's go up to the playoff bracket here. And we'll see. So we got the Lions and the Chiefs with the bye. Okay. And so every team, I know every team who's in this playoffs and every team that's not in the playoffs is saying, I don't want to see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I would say there's only 2 teams, in my opinion, that can't beat the Chiefs. And you heard me right. There's only 2 teams in the AFC that cannot beat the Chiefs. And that is the Texans and the Steelers. Now you may be thinking, the Broncos, seriously? The Broncos have a really good defense. They know how the Chiefs operate. With how the Broncos offense is starting to play and starting to click, maybe. There's more of a maybe. The Chargers can. Ravens can. Bills can. It's just, can they in the right moment? It doesn't matter. Like the Bills won in the regular season. They're great in the regular season against the Chiefs, but in the playoffs, it's a little different. There's more animosity. You have to play at Arrowhead. Like these are some tough games, so we'll see. But very excited for this playoffs. For every other team, very nervous for my team. Just because I know how much last year killed us. if we would have gotten there, I think we would have won the Super Bowl. I think it was either the Chiefs or us that were going to win the Super Bowl. And now this year, we are the 3 seed. We are the most doubted team, which is fine. I like being doubted because we're not the highest on the pedestal anymore. And so, really hoping we can beat the Chiefs at this point. Onto the NFC, the Lions got the bye. I think the Lions are the best team in football. They just have to make sure to play like it every game that they have. Last year, they had a little scare, and then they weren't able to beat the 49ers, but 49ers aren't here. Their toughest seeding component is the Eagles, which that could be a tough game, but Eagles have some work to do with the Packers. They have some work to do with, a lot of other teams that are there. So, they lost to the Commanders. The Vikings are a tough team. The Rams are shooters. The Bucks, the Bucks are one of those teams that, hit or miss, but we'll see. All I want is no Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I could care less who it is. Granted, okay, let me back up a little bit. I want the Ravens in the Super Bowl. Don't get me wrong. I think my team can do it. But if it's not my team, I don't want it to be the Chiefs. That's what I'm saying. I don't care if it's the Texans. I don't care if it's the Chargers, Bills, Broncos, Steelers, whatever. As long as it is not the Chiefs, I am a little more happy. Even if it's the Steelers, which I'm hoping it's not, because that means we lose first round, and that will kill us. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun, very scary playoffs. I'm nervous for Saturday. I always get a little fidgety when that stuff kind of happens, just because, yeah, I think it's going to go Chargers, Ravens, possibly Bills. So it would be the Bills and the Ravens, and then the Chiefs and the Chargers. For the wild card over on the NFC side, I see Vikings, Bucks, Packers. Don't know why. Just the Packers are always good, especially even the 7th seed. They did it last year against the Cowboys. It does depend on Jalen Hurts. Because if Jalen Hurts doesn't play, yeah, you're screwed. Which would suck for them because they did so well this season. Looked like a good contending team, but if you can't, you got to stay healthy at the right times. And so, we're facing without Zay Flowers, them, their quarterback. So, very interested to see what goes on here. We're going to look at the ESPN Sportsbook to kind of see what we got for kind of that wise. We can't really look at the awards anymore because those are done. So the Super Bowl favorites are the Detroit Lions, the Chiefs in second, and then the Ravens and Bills in third, as well as the Eagles. AFC conference winner, they think Chiefs, Bills, Ravens. NFC, Lions, Eagles, and then a little bit of the Vikings. So it's going to be good. Very excited to see what goes on here. It's just, for me, it's one of those things that I'm hoping that my team can do well. I mean, we're the only ones favored by a lot of points. I mean, the Bills are favored by 8.5. I don't care about the being favored or anything along those lines. For me, it's just more about making sure to play our sound fundamental ball, no penalties, and just not limiting big plays, understanding that, their offense is going to make some good plays. You just have to answer and play your type of ball because our defense is playing really well. Our offense is clicking. We have 4-0 since the bye. We have faced, I'd say, yeah, 2 teams that didn't really count, the Giants and the Browns, but we faced the Steelers. We faced the Texans. Those are 2 tough teams. We have beaten every team besides the Chiefs in the regular season. Now you got to translate it into the playoffs. So very excited to see what goes on from there. All right. Well, as the clock winds down on another episode, I want to thank you guys all for listening. Podcast will be live every Wednesday, episode every week. Make sure to post something on my Instagram page. let you know that the episode's up. Remember that my podcast is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, as well as YouTube, so make sure to like and subscribe to whatever platform you prefer. Feel free to comment or ask questions. I'll make sure to address the comments in the chat, in the comment section, or in the podcast itself. Also, all music and sound is provided by my brother-in-law, Justin. So, Justin, thank you for that. Just want to wish everyone a happy New Year. Very happy, regular season for whatever team that you guys are following. Very excited to see what the playoffs happen in, by next month, about this time. Actually, the Super Bowl is February 8th. So pretty much when this episode is live, that day will be, a month from now, will be the Super Bowl. And we'll see where we're at from there. I'm just hoping that everyone is praying for it not to be the Chiefs. Really, my only goal here is for it not to be the Chiefs. So hope everyone has a great day. Till next time, stay fierce, stay loyal, and keep rooting for that purple and black. I will see you next time on The Ravens Call.